one. So this is super nice. We are going to be waiting still a couple of minutes so that people have the time to join us. Ana, it is a pleasure to have you again. Really.
Thank you, Ivan. Always a pleasure to be here with you. Let's wait for people to come and to see who is going to be joining us. We are looking forward to begin.
Yes, and I'm looking forward also for the time for holidays. I wish I had a little bit of holidays left, but let's see.
Yeah, holidays are now really important things to plan as the summer has started. So I believe everybody has something in plan already, but somebody has to work.
Yes, I do believe though that this topic is one of the topics that is quite important to have before leaving and leaving for holidays, because it gives you the time to digest a little bit more about something that is so important in organizations. So I'm super excited for today.
Oh, absolutely agree. And I'm looking forward to actually hear what our audience is gonna think about this topic. And I hope that you're gonna have a lot of chances to interact with them. You see people are joining us, but let's see who else is coming. Hello, everybody.
Okay. 1 minute more and we are on. And for the time being, let's put everything in place. So about the topic.
All right. Well-being at work. So
exactly, that's the core. That in fact it is in the mouth of everybody today. So let's clarify a couple of points. That's the point today.
It's absolutely essential topic, and we've been talking about it before. I'm not sure we are gonna repeat something to those who are joining us again, but let's see.
So listen, it is time. Let's rock and roll,
right.
Ana.
All right, let's begin.
Yes. So first of all, super excited to talk about a topic that is super dear to our hearts. Ana, I know that we have been discussing about it for such a long time. And especially, I want to welcome Ana. Why? Because there are certain things that I'm going to be learning from her. So she has been for advising organizations for more than 14 years, in particular HR departments, which give us a little bit the perspective of, in terms of organizational impact, what it means to have to deal with the challenge of well-being. So I know, Ana, that in the last years you have been supporting organization, creating working cultures that have this sense of well-being at the core of their strategy, helping them to draft this strategy. I'm super glad to have you. We have got so many good, interesting chats in the past about the topic, and looking forward to learn from you. From your side, anything to add that I have forgotten?
No, Ivan, thank you for this awesome introduction, and welcome everyone. So thank you so much for having me here, and thank you everybody for your time today, for being here with us. And yes, I know that both you and I are excited extremely to speak about the skills that can help us maximize personal and workplace success. So we're going to be talking about well-being from all these angles, and Ivan is going to get us a kickoff, I believe, so as not to waste any time. Ivan, shall we go ahead, please?
Listen, yes, first I need to introduce myself. So a short introduction about myself. So many of you don't believe it, but once upon a time, I was an engineer. So engineers, they don't forget that they were engineers. So I'm a very data-driven person. I need numbers to believe what's going on. The other thing is that I have been working in the corporate world for 17 years, and mainly in the areas of marketing and corporate innovation. Now, the thing about corporate innovation is that you get to go through transformations of an organization in terms of business model, and you get to reflect a little bit more about what happened. In fact, is it like transformation is only about digital transformation, changing the business model? what happens with the people and how can we accelerate, in fact, the transformation, working on the potential of each individual in the organization. The other part of my story is that I'm one of the co-founders of Besern. And the thing about Besern is that we work on the skills and processes to help people activate the knowledge and transform it in real actions. Because at the end, when you are a corporation, what you want to pay is for behaviors that are changed in the workplace, and not just a satisfaction survey. So this is what what I have been doing for the last 2 years, mainly in the MENA region. We had also the chance to collaborate with Ana, which is quite good that I get to know her beforehand. So let's start discussing about the topic. First of all, I'm going to get rid of this slide because people need to see us, and it needs to be like a good conversation. So, Ana, what's happening today is quite impressive, in fact. Let's put it into perspective. So in the last 12 months, what we have seen is that well-being has been used and talked in many parts of the organization. One positive thing is that HR, human resources people, have become the voice of these people, of the employees. And if you will think about it, this means that there has been like a big change, because right in the past, human resources had become a little bit like a commodity, because if they were handling the administration and the processes in place in order to help the workplace work. But suddenly, the position of human resources has become so critical. And I was impressed, by the way, that to see in the social media so many voices that have been the reflection of what's happening in the workplace, and they have been empowering people to talk more about mental well-being, better cultures. Wow, that has been a very good step forward. So at the same time, organizations are fast-paced in transformation. Many of them, because of COVID, basically COVID has disrupted many businesses, and some of them had to catch up quickly. Now, catching up quickly, it doesn't mean only that it's about putting tools in place for digitalization. It means also, how do we equip people that are, by the way, anxious about their jobs? Because if you're losing, if you think about it, it is times of uncertainty. And the thing is that I'm a numbers person, and I mentioned it, so still 65% of people are suffering of anxiety. 90% of the employees do not dare yet to speak about their personal mental health. They are afraid. So I think it is time to have like a review about what it means mental well-being. So obviously there is a strong association between well-being and the symptoms. Symptoms, that means that is the result of a root cause. It's a little bit like coughing versus what was the origin of the coughing, or having fever and what was the origin of the fever. So one of these symptoms is, of course, anxiety, burnout, and stress at work. And still today, we are trying to heal the symptoms, right? So we are trying to find like the painkiller for the symptoms. How do we take care of the stress at work? How do we take care of anxiety? And I wanted to revert back to the root cause. And the root causes, and we got a little bit of information. We got the opportunity to generate data. With Besson, we have been working with many organizations and many employees, so that gave us a little bit of insights on the proportions of the root causes. And we have identified two main root causes that we would like to discuss today with Ana. And one of them is the sense of belonging as an organization, of having a commonality between us, feeling that we belong to the same tribe, even in the times that is super tough, and especially in the times where it's super tough to live in. Well, you better feel belonging to a group. This is number one. Second one is about the feeling that we cannot reach our full potential. This need, in fact, of self-actualization, to be at our best, to acquire the knowledge, the skills, the goals that we want to achieve in order to self-realize ourselves as a person. And that it has become a difficulty. So that is a little bit the two topics that we are going to focus on, but I wanted to be a little bit more provocative. And I wanted to be provocative with the fact that the association of well-being at work and burnout and anxiety makes a little bit the individual feel like it is my fault. That is, I'm having an illness, that it is my duty to find out a solution. But it's not always like that. There is, I guess, a good part of responsibility on the root causes that corporations can act on, manage, and improve. And these are the two things that we are going to be discussing today, the two basic needs of feeling belonging to a group and feeling that we can thrive in self-actualization. Anna, I think that I overdid it with the speaking. So help me out and let's launch the topic about the feeling of belonging.
Well, you have already mentioned very important aspects. And as you said, we have witnessed quite a lot of workplace transformation happening around the world in the past years, right? And here in the MENA region where Ivan and I both are right now. And especially for me now being in HR and being part of this huge HR transformation is absolutely rewarding itself because now we get to speak about these changes and this topic and positive influence and what we can do for people to reach their goals, and about this topic, which is a hot topic right now, such as well-being at work. So it's really important, we believe, and we're going to be talking today and looking at this topic through the lens of two perspectives, as Ivan just mentioned. So we'll be looking to the two different needs. We are not going to be focusing on symptoms. We are going to try and give you some specific tools and resources that hopefully you can implement within your workplaces today to get some results. So we will start from what we already know, what humanistic theories in psychology are telling us, that humans and most of our behavior is multi-motivated. So usually it means that it can be determined by more than one basic needs that we have. And we are not necessarily experiencing them in any specific order too. But why we decided to actually talk about this topic right now and from these angles is because this is a time in the history that we are facing, and we have noticed a significant rise in certain needs having to deal with these disruptions and insecurities. So what we are looking more is this sense of security, belonging, having control over our lives. Since the sense of order and stability have been shaken clearly. And of course, expectations that employees are having from their leaders have shifted as well as faced with all of these challenges. And yes, at some aspect, their job stabilities and need for their job stabilities has increased, but also has this sense for connection and well-being increased. So that's why we want to talk about and understand how and why well-being has shifted in this past couple of years, especially because it's unknown what's going to be, and given its unknown trajectory, if you wish. So what we have to understand, we are going to tell you that there is no that one single best recipe or solution that you as a leader need to implement. But there are rather a number of strategies that we have seen from growing number of studies and research by now, but also both Ivan and I that we have experienced with working with companies from Far East, Middle East, region here, Europe, and advising clients on what aspects to focus on to move on and to have super teams in their organizations. And it all showed us that a good direction now is having clear and open communication. So we would start from there. And our key learning point here would be, so keep the communication channels open while leading people through your transitions and changes. So why? Because it keeps, first of all, the bars low on frustrations amongst your employees, and it also plays a very important role for their sense of belonging and security. So it's really crucial for their engagement and sense of well-being. As much as this is the fact for your existing employees, it's even more important for the new joiners and your new employees. So don't be afraid to communicate and even over-communicate, because employees want to know what might happen next. And they also need to have this clarity about their job roles, tasks, and expectations that you're having from them. Also, you can include having an open door policy. And think of the importance of communicating with your remote teams. How challenging was it for you if you're a leader? How challenging or easy it was when all this started happening? Now, also keep in mind, I'm sure that a lot of surveys have been done around organizations and that you've been asking from feedback from your employees. But we just want to mention one thing here. Asking for feedback is crucial. So communication is a two-way process here. You want to know your employees' opinion and how they stand on certain matters. But what is more important here than asking for a feedback is acting upon it. So if you're not ready to take any actions, then it can send a message to your team that their opinions are not very important, and eventually this might lead to having less and less feedback coming to you and information, and you would want to avoid that. What even said, how can you increase well-being by increasing the employee's need for belonging? Is by lowering the feeling and conditions of fear to take place, because we all know how fear is unproductive. And it's not that it only negatively impacts the well-being and productivity, it's also very contagious. So as we know, what happens when people get into experiencing fear and these strong emotions, they tend to respond in the different ways, and their cognitive capacities go down. So of course it impacts productivity and performance. And what really helps here is another key learning point here is increasing self-awareness and learning how to regulate your emotions. It has a huge impact on having successful communication, because base of any successful relationship is successful communication. So communication, relationships with your colleagues, with your teams, the ones that you have there or on site. So learning how to regulate your own emotions is very crucial here, because by regulating them, you can regulate your behaviors that are necessary, especially how you react under pressure and all these challenges. It's very important to know your triggers and your employees' triggers as well. And the point here is that what Ivan and I want to tell you, that we can exercise control over our personality traits, and it's what we know as a fact as well from the research. And the evolution of human needs actually goes from the need, like basic needs from food, water, shelter, to self-actualization, personal development, which is a process of fulfilling one's potential. And we will get there. So Ivan will share a couple of aspects on these as well, I believe.
Anna, before we go to that part, I just wanted, while you were talking, in fact, I had a thinking about something that is quite crucial, and that I feel that it is somehow correlated to the sense of belonging. It is that when you were talking about this sense of productivity and creativity, I was thinking about that the sense of belonging is something that interacts, impacts the intrinsic motivation of people. So, and there has been so many research. I think that there was a guy, a psychologist called Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, who developed the concept of flow, which is the area where people feels completely engaged and creative towards the job that they are doing. And you mentioned a couple of the points. In fact, you mentioned um, the sense of having the possibility to have a clear direction, but nevertheless, to have the possibility to decide by themselves how to do the things. That's how you kind of lose the fear. I mean, that contributes also to the sense that failing is allowed, that there is continuous feedback, the continuous loop of feedback with people that is on the spot. It is positive. There is also the sense of purpose, which is basically to say, we are not doing the job to generate revenues. We are doing the job for a bigger purpose. So, and when us as a human, we have like this bigger purpose that our job has impact on that strategy, and beyond the strategies has impact on the community, well, we feel completely engaged, and it doesn't matter about, it's not the salary or the perks that you may receive are less important. So having into consideration the sense of purpose, that the possibility to decide by ourselves how we are going to do things, and somehow the responsibility or the accountability is something that make us be part of a team that, and you use the word of super teams, that it is completely engaged. Now, there is also the other part of super teams now that we have this we have discussed about uh, disruption, technology coming into a place, is that pre-COVID, I had a feeling that, in fact, technology was seen as a tool to replace the human being. Now, how can we make it so that we, as a result of technology, we have a strategic pairing of people with technology in more natural ways, in order to lose a little bit the fear that, oh, me as an accountant, I'm going to be replaced by an AI-based software. So how can we amplify the human contribution? So where the teams, the super teams, in fact, can play an integral part in the organizational ability to grow. And that has become critical because, and based on the discussions that we have got with strategic leaders, now it's not seen, technology is not seen as a replacement. It's kind of like an enhancer of the outputs that human produces. And just that today, we need to do a little bit more efforts in terms of the communication and in terms of the choices of technology that we bring on the table, so that it becomes an organizational imperative to use the best thinking from the human resources, IT, and the rest of the business to empower more the human beings, so that we feel like we are a tribe, we are on this together, and we can thrive at work. Belonging is still one of the basic needs. In the past, it was done for protection, because if we are a crowd, we have better chances of survival versus a wild animal in the forest. And we keep that in mind. In fact, that's why we hang around together. That's why it's almost like a protection, right? For the long term.
Absolutely, Ivan, absolutely. Well, technology can help us right now, and it is empowering a lot, but we need to understand, when we talk about well-being at work, what you just said, we are social animals. And talking about well-being at work is actually talking a lot about connection and how we connect with others. We actually do that in a couple of different ways. But we know that isolation can be very harmful for us, and the impact of loneliness on our brain and our health can be very harmful too. And maybe the common belief is that modern society is leading us to this deep disconnection. So that's why we are emphasizing this point of connection and creating it within your teams, and connecting employees at work and engaging them through different activities was really huge since the pandemic started, offering all sorts of activities and games and how you can engage your remote teams and the ones that you're having. But the thing is, we're not going to be talking about that, because there are a lot of great examples available. And what we are going to be discussing here, and what we would like you to take away from this, is that what most performing teams have in common is, we mentioned already, psychological safety, dependability, structure, clarity, meaning, and impact. You mentioned it a couple of minutes ago about the meaning, and this all brings us to self-actualization. And talking about self-actualization and how you can implement it, what you can do on that level is offering your employees a well-being program and giving them tools to be successful. So we are not talking here about giving them free yoga lessons or anything that can kind of help cure the symptoms. But we are talking about the tools that you can give to your employees so that they can be successful in their personal lives as well, but professionally too. So when you're doing that, you're basically telling them that you respect them, that you understand their needs, that you trust them, and that you want them to be successful in life. So employees have a high employee morale, let's say, when they are allowed to be creative, to solve problems, when they feel safe and appreciated. It works well to develop their self-esteem and achieve goals. So in my opinion, this is one of the most powerful reasons to have a structured well-being program and to invest in your employees. Because realistically, and even I know that you would agree, employees, they don't care about organizational healthcare cost problem, or absenteeism rates. What they care about is their own happiness.
Exactly.
So your employees don't share your concerns of a leader about productivity and the sick days. They care about having a fulfilling, enjoyable job. And they want to be successful in that. So, and they're looking for you to actually provide them that. So working to build your employees' resilience and well-being helps them achieve their needs, so physical and social and emotional needs. And when it's all said and done, then your employees want to be appreciated as well. And then really good things can happen at work. So what I mean by that, productivity goes up and the customer service is great. It's outstanding. Problems get solved. People get creative because they feel safe, and they feel safe to actually make mistakes. They can say, I believe that my manager has good intentions about me, towards me. I feel safe to be myself and to take risks. So that's what we are aiming here for, to actually mention. And we want to tell you to help your teams build their resilience by building trust, connection, collaboration, so that they can say all of these that I just mentioned. And from a recent research, when asked HR managers, would they rather hire for a new skill or train, a lot of them, quite high number and percentage, said that they would just hire new skill because it's easier. And we believe that it doesn't have to be that way. If we understand better how we learn and what skills your employees actually want to know, what they want to learn, and why. So if you understand the memory and the learning meta skills, that they are future, then we can understand how we can train our existing employees, because new hires are expensive. Right. So what are these skills, and why are we talking about them? Because we know it's been already acknowledged that employees need to have a good and measurable amount of their technical skills. Then we're talking about these soft skills or social skills, yeah, people skills. But now what they need while working hard on these skills is, of course, something slightly more difficult to measure, but these are like teamwork, communication, conflict resolution, problem solving abilities, all those skills that you cannot measure as much as technical skills. But now, and since past 2 years, we are talking more, and there is even more interest in meta skills. So here we come to this point. This is a type of skill that enables you to learn and to build new skills faster. It allows you to improve and to develop other skills, because as we know, skills by themselves are temporary. So by contrast, meta skill is permanent part of you that can actually enable you to achieve other skills. For example, I'll try and be specific here. So while learning language, because I'm a language lover, as Eva knows, so while learning language is a skill, the ability to develop, to learn languages, thus making it easier for you to learn several of them, would be a meta skill. And one of those meta skills are self-awareness and resilience. We already started talking about it. And why are we talking about emotional intelligence and self-awareness is a crucial meta skill here? Is because it's the key element of emotional intelligence, and it's vital in any workplace, no matter where you are. And if in modern businesses, it's especially a requirement nowadays for leaders to know your strengths, know your weaknesses, your personality traits. It's all meta skill, and that will enable you to develop some other competencies that you lack, and make the most of those skills that you possess, and recognize how well you actually work with others, how well you communicate, how you make decisions, what triggers you. So basically it all comes down to self-awareness. And why leaders would be more aware of this is because clearly they're under the spotlight and people look up to them. So therefore, this would be a most important skill to develop in any leader. And as we know, having some talents and knowing yourself is great, and having this sense of self-awareness. But having talents and not acting upon them is basically not worth quite much. But what can help you to you as a leader, to your teams, to your employees, is one thing here: resilience. And it's another key skill. So overcoming failures and being able to keep trying, that will enable you to experiment and to be creative and to make mistakes and to success. So there are a lot of successful leaders. We don't need to mention them by names, and they're implemented resilience building strategies within their teams. They believe that it's essential to cultivate these mindsets and culture that can thrive in the space of, let's say, opportunities and uncertainties and under pressure. So it is a commitment. We also should say that it's a kind of a culture that requires commitment as just as important, and it is openness to try new things and to learn from trial and error. So I would say, in the same way that we cultivate our physical muscles, There is a way to stimulate greater mental hygiene and emotional regulation, and that we need to be aware of that and to take action upon this, because a big part of that is proactively creating space for using these restorative techniques before we actually feel these high pressure moments happen. That's the key. And Ivan, would you like to add something on resilience and the importance? Because I feel like I've been talking already too long on this.
Anna, I know that you are passionate about the topic, so I just let you go. But you know what? A little bit of reflection. So when you gave a very good example about the acquisition of a language skill. So the metacognitive skills is rather helping people to develop their own process to learn what they want to learn, what they need to learn, in fact. And for that, as you mentioned, this is first step that is quite critical, is how to help people to become more self-aware about, is something of value for me? Then providing them the opportunity to go and do like an experimentation with themselves, saying, okay, I'm going to try that direction, this action, this behavior. I will go and see if it works. And if it doesn't work, I'm not going to get demoralized. And when we think about it, and we think about all of the investments. So in average in the Middle East, for white collars, about $2,500 per year are spent in training and development. Oh, and most of these $2,500 per person per year, by the way. So in all of these, most of this investment goes into trainings that are made to acquire knowledge. In fact, we are using, in order to learn, I don't know, confidence, or in order to learn how to manage people, we are using the same approach than learning a language. So there is a mismatch. People do not learn if there is no practice, no insights, and no correlation with what is important for me. So, and that has been, I mean, it has been highlighted several times during this the COVID period, and this is a good point, is that today you cannot ask, I don't know, there is a good chunk of people having mental health challenges who suffer of presenteeism, basically being less productive. You cannot ask them, go attend your 5 hours of Zoom call to learn a new skill when your brain is not mentally there. You don't have all of these, any of the mental capacity that you would have in normal times to listen, acquire knowledge, and to be interested. So most of the time I will turn off my camera and I will do something else while in the background I hear a noise that is called knowledge, but nothing will be represented in real behaviors. I cannot go and do an in-class training of 2 days when my brain cannot process long rushes of focus. And at the same time, I have the continuous demand of my mobile, my boss asking stuff via email. So the sad reality is that we have been misusing learning, the strategies for learning to teach people how to become better as a leader, how to acquire skills in terms of time management, because time management is about having the control of your life. It's not about using getting things done on book and apply it to myself, where we know that only 10% of people would actually apply this approach. It is so basically we are talking that it is today we are opening the doors to a new era of how we learn new things at work, because a lot of things will depend on how good are we with these metacognitive skills in order to be successful at work. So creativity cannot be learned into slides. Critical thinking cannot be used learned via slides. So, and you are quite aware about how our thinking at Besson about how to approach this. So we know already that the change is very difficult. The brain, as long when there is a drastic change, has fears. When there is fear, you cannot process information, digest information. You cannot activate the cognitive part of your brain in order to gather insights. So a training needs to be short. A training needs to give time for people to gather insights. So all of the trainings that we do are short. Live sessions, if it is live session, it has to be on the spot, maximum 1 hour, 1 hour and a half, in order for people to digest and have in between the session itself, different moments for this is the knowledge and this is the reflection time for you. The type of interactions that you will have online are going to be quite insightful for people. The other part is that you have to give them the opportunity to practice, but practice in a way that is meaningful for them by creating micro actions. So, but that happens outside of the live session, because in between live sessions, when you create a program, you can give them the opportunity, and thanks God that we have technology now that makes it super affordable, so that they can have access in an app, the possibility and have the possibility to design themselves these micro actions and close the feedback loop that is human, not a chatbot telling you you did it right, you didn't wrong, and what is the learning? Is it working for you? And this is what we try to do inside of this package of methodology that we call it brain friendly, because it is made on the way the brain processes information and has the willingness to take action. We have to kind of cheat the brain by reducing the impact. No, it's not a big change. It's a micro action. It doesn't take so much time. So there is no anymore like this overthinking, procrastination that you have. Oh, now I have to go for 1 hour in this e-learning, because it is a micro action, 5 minutes max. So people are more willing to interact and practice on a regular basis. And when the practice becomes like regular, it becomes an automatic thing. It's almost like driving a car. You don't think about it. So you repeat it without you really knowing about it. And that's something that is quite powerful when you mix the knowledge that you have from behavioral science, neuroscience, and you have the tools, the technology, and the approach to make people change behaviors, right?
That's actually what the reason behind all this training and everything that we're talking about is, because we don't believe in productivity at any cost. And we understand that it's quite unproductive, as you just mentioned, because actual time to restore and recover from burnout, let's say, it can be quite longer. So we are learning new skills to be more productive now and to activate all of our potential. So this is why we are giving people a chance to learn these skills on their own and decide on their micro actions to see what's working for them, because it should be very individual. And why are employees so interested in learning this is because they're not learning it because their managers send them on a training, and now they have to go for a training to be more productive and to work better. No, they're very open to this kind of training because they're learning something that will be beneficial for them, something that they can take away with them to another companies and other organizations, and they understand that these skills are theirs wherever they go. And that's
it's a life skill. It is a life skill. It's not a business skill.
Absolutely. It helps them both professionally and personally, and that's why they're ready for the learning to take place. And actually, it's very important that the learners are ready to learn before the actual training starts. And of course, they need to have a reason why they should be there and what's in it for them.
Great. Hey, I think that this is a time where we should ask the audience if they have any questions. So please shoot to the questions, and yeah, we wait a little bit to have a little bit of your side. So Anna, if we have to recap what we are saying is that we need to move away from this perspective that everything on well-being is about burnout and anxiety at work, because it is kind of unproductive to heal, or is too late to heal these symptoms. It is better to focus on the root causes. And two major root causes that have been mentioned is this feeling of not belonging, not being part of the culture, the group, of a common purpose, to be driven by a group of people that hangs together, even in moments that are a little bit risky. This is one. And the second one, it is about the sense that we want to be the best that we can. So in order to do that, we need to acquire skills that cannot be delivered in the same way that we learn English or Mandarin, right? I used the Mandarin once. Allow me to do that. So it needs to be built upon how the brain processes information at its best, and it needs to be a skill. These metacognitive skills are life skills that are useful and relatable for people that they can use for home, work, or whatsoever. And this is how they feel the interest. And on top, it needs to be something that is very short so that there is no friction on the way we learn, right?
So, how can actually well-being at work happen? It's not by implementing one single thing or thinking about stress and preventing stress from happening. It can take place, generally speaking, and to wrap all this up, if there is, first of all, honest and open communication happening there, and if there is this sense created that everyone can achieve their full potential. So therefore, all of these skills are life skills actually, and emotional intelligence and resilience. So what you would want to do is to learn the skills that will help you face future challenges, because we don't know what they're gonna be, but you want to be ready for them. Therefore, these skills are important and helpful.
Exactly. So it's almost like, rather than teaching directly a skill, is you teach people how to learn anything. Is a process. By the way, we have one question just popping up. Okay, so the question is it easier to help transform senior leaders or the rest of the organization?
Who is the question for? Okay, anyways.
Up to you.
Well, I would say one thing here. It is very important that if you really want to see any changes happening, it needs to start from the top. It needs to start from your leaders. And I would say one thing to the leaders now, what we can see in HR to be very important, and that we are going to see in future as very important skill is like invest in your people, in your managers, in your leaders. So training your leaders who are leading your people is very important. And as I said, I'll say again, start from the top, because that's when you can actually see quite a lot of changes happening.
Mm. So from my perspective, so seniority, age doesn't influence in principle the way you learn. So we have the concept of neuroplasticity. At any time you can learn, no matter how old or how senior you are. Now, but what contributes and makes a challenge with senior leaders is because it's kind of the politics, because they feel that they have much more to lose if something fails. So their level of resistance for their own behavioral change will be a little bit higher. So it is important to take the time, almost like at individual level with these seniors, in order that they understand in order to overcome this fear. of losing something.
Therefore,
Yes.
therefore leaders should be working on building their own resilience first of all. If they want to see it happening in their teams, it has to start from them. They have to be the example that people are gonna follow. So very important that we have self-aware and emotionally regulated leaders who are confident at communicating and leading people through changes. We don't know what's going to be happening, but leaders need to be prepared. So it's also a skill that you can learn anytime. But the good news here is for the leaders and is everybody that we all have these capabilities. We can all learn resilience. So we all already have it in ourselves to some extent and to some level. It depends on our genetics and other factors as well, but we can all learn it. It's a trainable, it's a learnable skill. And the sooner we understand that it has nothing to do with I'm older and it's difficult to learn, and the sooner we actually start, it's better for us, but it's better for our teams. We are not here talking, as everybody is aware already, about organizational goals. We are talking about much bigger picture here, and that is invest in yourself, work on yourselves, and self-development is very important. We believe in learning. I believe in lifelong learning. I'm actually still learning, and that's the best part of it, because if we don't do that, if we don't evolve, how can we be confident at facing anything that's coming to us and happening around us? And also we want to be the best that we can be for ourselves, but for those around us as well. It's not that you're doing something for yourself. Think about it. You're doing it for everybody around you, for your teams, for your families, and for any relationships that you have. So resilience is super crucial, and we're really passionate about training people in these skills, whoever you are, leaders or not, leaders of your own lives. Let's say we are all leaders.
And I think this is the moment to a little bit close the loop of this discussion. Anna, I just have one takeaway of our discussion is that we think that well-being is all about the symptoms. We always associate, in fact, the symptoms to the cost of the medical cost, the leaves. Well, in fact, 70% of the cost of the mental health cost for an organization is the cost of presenteeism. So in countries like UK, this cost is $2,300 per employee per year, which is huge. So presenteeism is basically being in front of the screen and not being at your best and not being as productive as you would usually be because of the mental capacity, because of the pressure, because your brain has frozen with the current situation. You don't have your life anymore into control. So the paradigm that we're putting there is that there is two potential root causes that needs to be targeted in organizations in order to help people deal with that. One is allowing them to be equipped with the right tools to be self-actualized, to be their best that they can, to manage themselves better. And the second one is this cohesion that needs to be developed in organizations so that people feels that they feels engaged, protected from the outside world. That's the two takeaways.
Yes, these would be our tools and resources. This is how we see and how we had the chance to actually see the positive impacts in organizations that we've been working with. And we hope that you're going to find them useful as well. Please let us know if you have some questions. We would be happy to help you answer them. We would like to stay in touch with you and connected with you. So please do so.
Yes, don't hesitate to shoot a connection in LinkedIn with Ana Toroman or myself, Ivan Palomino. If you need to develop a little bit more the topic and you want just to have a friendly brainstorm about how we can develop better well-being workplaces, how to build resilience in teams, please just connect with us in LinkedIn, and we will be happy to have a friendly discussion, right, Anna?
Okay, absolutely. Looking forward to hearing from you.
This is great.